Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Fish Friday number 103 and we have a good one for you today. Today's fish is a fish that I can't believe that I haven't done already. At least I thought that until I started doing the fish and realized that this might be the shortest Fish Friday ever because we don't know diddly doodah about this fish. Today's fish that we're going to be talking about is bam, the widemouth blind catfish. It's a widemouth blindcat is the actual common name, but it's hard to say widemouth blindcat catfish. But that's actually how it's supposed to be pronounced. Anyway, so the widemouth blindcat, or scientific name, listen closely, scientific name Satan eurystomus. Again, that is Satan eurystomus. I know. It is part of the family Ecological, which is the family of North American catfish. And it has a very, very small range. There's its range. That's it. That little circle right there in Texas is the entire known range of this fish. It is found in the San Antonio pool of the Edwards Aquifer. Think about this. Edwards Aquifer. For those of you who don't know, aquifers are the water-containing structures that are found below ground. Yes, this fish is found below the city of San Antonio in the aquifer down there in the middle of this. This is where this fish is found. I should mention that this is an excessively good picture. Most of the times, if you see pictures, they look like this. Just kind of like, bleh. This is a very, very good picture. So going back to their habitat, they are found 305 to 582 meters below the surface. That's 1,000 to 1,900 feet down below the ground. That's why there's only like, this entire fish is an interesting fact. This fish just existing is an interesting fact. And I should also mention that it is not the only one, but we'll get into that in a little bit. It has only been found from 5 artesian wells. In this area, there's only 5 wells that it has come from. And I say this, but there's only been like 5 or 6 specimens ever found. It's only like 5 or 6 of these have ever been found, because when they're living 1,900 feet below the ground, it's kind of hard to sample. Really hard to sample. Now, this is not a big fish. It is pretty small. It's 30 to 117 millimeters, which is about 1.8 to 4.61 inches. And that's just the ones that we know. Now, there is some evidence that the specimens that we've gotten are underaged, but chances are they're not going to get much bigger than that. In terms of color, they're whitish, pinkish, and you can kind of expect that. You've seen the documentaries where cave invertebrates and things, they lose their eyes and they go white, because why would you have color when there's no sunlight? And that's definitely the case here. These have no eyes. They're a whitish pinkish color. The only reason they look pinkish is because of the blood. They're really white, which is why this picture is just like pale white. Something interesting to note though is they do have this larger adipose fin, that fleshy fin on the back of catfish, and it has a decently wide mouth with plenty of teeth in there with a little bit of overbite. But there's not too many of these fish, so I'm not gonna say there's only one that you might confuse it with, but the chances of you running into either one of those is pretty slim. Something else to note is they do have lateral lines like most other fish, but what's also interesting is they actually have more of like a lateral line systems on the head itself, which that's probably how they're finding their way around, along with their barbels. Remember, the barbels are the fleshy whiskers that are used as sensory organs, and lateral line is how how fish can maneuver their lateral line to detect changes in pressures. So that's how they're kind of doing it. They also have a reduced gas bladder, an air bladder. So they're probably not going to be swimming around too much. And there seems to be, in the specimens that have been dissected, instead of excess gas bladder, there's actually an excess amount of fat in that, where that region would be, which is probably, think of it similar to how a bear hibernates. They eat a lot and they store a lot of fat and they do the energy. That's probably something similar to what the widemouth blindcat does, is it eats quite a bit, whatever it can find, and then it stores all that excess energy in the fat stores around the gas bladder that allow them to survive. And speaking of that, it's more than likely that the widemouth blindcat is the top predator down there. There is another blind catfish called the toothless blindcat, which is Trogloganus, I believe. Trogloganus is smaller and it doesn't really have the teeth. And of the dissections, there has been some of the toothless blindcat found in Satan's stomach. And yes, Satan Eurystomus, that's its genus, remember that. In terms of money, there's really, the widemouth blindcat really doesn't have any economic importance for humans directly, but they are important members of that really unique ecosystem. I mean, you think about it, it's not just fish down there. There are crabs, there are crustaceans, there are insects found in this aquifer that have evolved over, centuries and millennia to evolve underground. So they're important things. When you have these cave dwelling organisms, removal of any one of those could be incredibly devastating for the ecosystem. And cave fish and all cave animals are usually really important in the study of evolution, because cave fish usually, in all cave organisms, they go on a different evolutionary path, but then they sort of stop and don't get quite the level that some of these outside organisms get. But for the interesting fact that we're going to end the video on, Satan Eurystomus. And yeah, it is Satan. It's an odd name. The Latin name, so Satan Eurystomus, is translated as Widemouth Prince of Darkness. And this is really cool. So Carl Hubbs, who named this species, seemed he just loved to give cave fish, like really crazy, like dark, sinister names. And his reasoning for it was that hell is underground. These cave fish are underground. They come from hell. So considering that the I don't remember if I said this, but considering that this is the apex predator, Satan Eurystomus translating to Widemouth Prince of Darkness. And that's the actual translation, Widemouth Prince of Darkness. If this is the apex predator down there, Widemouth Prince of Darkness is probably a really good name for this fish. But I digress. Again, sorry, this is a short one, but there's so little known about this fish, but it's such an important part of the ecosystem found in the Edwards Aquifer. It's crazy. But thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. If I don't, please be safe. Have a great day. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you do. I'd really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. And